holding cash and dead assets is a bad thing. To realize that you have to think in terms of buying power, not the number of dollars you have. Worst thing is to be in cash. Like I say, cash is trash, and to be into and to be out of the bonds. Three big forces to keep your eye on, and when you see them in their cycle, then it's clear. First, are you earning more than you are spending? When you look at those three forces, I want to make sure that they're clear and you could align them up and you could see where you are. Is the country earning more than it's spending and building savings, or is it spending more than it is earning and creating debt? Because one man's debts are another man's assets. And when somebody is holding those assets and they're producing a lot more of that money in debt, they go down in value. Money goes down in value as they produce it to produce that buying power. And then that gets people bad returns, it produces a higher amount of inflation, and it produces bad returns for holding debt or bond. So in other words, cash or bonds. And then people get out of cash and bonds, and that produces rising interest rates while there's rising inflation, and that produces stagflation. So I want them to get the mechanics of that, because that's happening now. You could see it. This is not controversial. We are producing a lot of debt. We're spending a lot more than we're earning. And as a result, they're printing a lot of money, and the printing of a lot of money creates a lot of inflation. The second force that is dealing with is the internal conflict force, how you are with each other. Are you operating cohesively, common mission, and moving in the right direction, the system working? Or are you at each other's throats? Is the system threatened? Because history's shown when the causes that people are behind are more important to them than the system is in jeopardy. And that is a risky situation. It's a risky situation because it produces disorder, and it can produce a form of civil war. And at those times, when you have that, you see greater and greater polarity. In politics, it shows up at greater and greater populism of the left and populism of the right. And populists want to fight for their side. They're not moderates. Moderates want to work together to try to find a compromise that's best for the whole. Populists appeal to their crowd by saying, I am fighting for you, and they will fight each other. And that fight can be at the threat of the system. We're in the part of the economic cycle where they have given, the government has given a lot of money and credit to people. They've put it out. Well, no surprise, that's leading to a lot of inflation, okay? Inflation takes buying power away from people. And it also means that then there's going to be higher interest rates, and that's going to squeeze people. And so that makes that wealth gap and that wealth issue more difficult. So that's the second force. And the third force is the rise of a great power, the geopolitical force that's going on, that we're seeing today with China and Russia and so on, and how that's changing. Because when the power of a country diminishes, okay, when we get weaker financially, or how we are with each other and so on, there are greater vulnerabilities. And there's always the competitive power that learns how to become stronger. And competition always happens. There's the establishment, and then there's the new competition. And as they get stronger in all ways, militarily and commercially and so on. And that's the dynamic that we're seeing. What's necessary is you have to earn more than you spend as a society. And so we look at our country as a whole. To not have laptops and connectivity is today the equivalent of not having running water and electricity, or the telephone. The world is richer today. We have more per capita income. We have more technology and know-how. It just has to be redeployed in a way where it maximizes the efficiency and essentially the equality. Holding cash and dead assets is a bad thing. So a lot of money is in cash because people think that cash is the safest investment. But they are measuring that in the amount of money that they get, nominal returns, and they say it doesn't wiggle much. But think about it. It's lost, as of the most recent statistics, 8.5% over the last, inflation is 8.5%, and they receive virtually no interest rate in cash. And so there was an 8.5% loss of buying power as a result of inflation. And so psychology should change and is in the process of changing to realize that you have to think in terms of buying power, not the number of dollars you have. And you have to think how much is your buying power. And so the worst thing is to be in cash. Like I say, cash is trash, and to be and to be out of the bonds. Geographic location is important. In other words, not just all in US and US dollar assets. I would say that the three things that again I'm looking at if I go down countries is, first, are they earning more than they're spending? Do they have a good income statement and balance sheet? This is going to be very important in the period ahead, because the amount of credit that's going to be available to bridge the gap between spending and earning, cash flows and so on, is going to be quite narrower. So a lot of companies even that were able to raise cash and not have good cash flow because of maybe growth expectations in the future will find it more difficult. That'll be true for individuals. It'll be true for countries. So does it have a good income statement and balance sheet will be important. The second is places. How are they working with each other? Is there civility, or is there civil war, on the brink of civil war? Because countries where they work well together, they're productive, are going to have a real competitive advantage. Orderly places